The mountain village woke slowly, with the first light of dawn spilling across the peaks like liquid gold. Birds stirred in the trees, and a thin trail of smoke curled from the chimney of a wooden hut. Life here was simple, too simple. Some might say in that little village lived a girl named Amina. She was 19, quiet and hard-working. Her clothes were plain, patched in more than one place, but her eyes carried a gentleness that spoke of a soul used to hardship, yet unwilling to let go of kindness. Every morning, she carried firewood down the mountain path, trading small bundles in the town below for rice or bread. It was not much, but it kept her and her sick mother alive. That morning, as she walked with a basket against her hip, she thought of how heavy life could be, and yet how the mountain always greeted her with the same calm face, all unmoving, eternal. She had no idea that today would be different. Today, the mountain would bring her face to face with a stranger, one who would change everything she had ever known. The mountain path was not easy. Loose stones rolled beneath her sandals, and sharp winds tugged at her braid. Amina had walked this way for years, yet each step demanded care. One wrong move could mean a fall into the deep ravine below. But she knew the trail like she knew the lines of her hands. She hummed softly to herself, a tune her mother once sang when she was a child. It gave her courage, even when her body ached from carrying wood, even when her stomach longed for food. Halfway down, she paused. Something felt strange. The forest was too quiet. No birds sang, no branches cracked. Then, she heard it, a faint groan, low and broken, carried by the wind. Her heart leaped. She set the basket down and stepped carefully, following the sound. There, at the bend of the path, lying among the rocks, was a man. His clothes were torn, his arms scratched, his breathing heavy. He looked out of place, his shoes too fine, his coat too expensive for this rugged trail. Amina's eyes widened. Who was he, and what was he doing here, all alone? Amina's breath caught in her throat. She crouched beside the man, her hands trembling as she reached out to touch his shoulder. Sir, can you hear me? She whispered. At first, there was no reply. Then, his eyelids fluttered, and a faint groan escaped his lips. Relief washed over her. He was alive but weak. His clothes, though dirty, spoke of wealth. No one in her village wore fabric that fine, nor carried a watch so heavy and polished. Amina had never been near anyone who looked like him. To her, he was a mystery, a man from a different world. Yet none of that mattered now. He was hurt, and she could not leave him here. She looked around. The trail was empty, no travelers in sight. The village was still far below, and her hut was closer than the town. That left her with only one choice. She slid her hands beneath his arm, struggling under his weight. He was heavy, far heavier than the bundles of wood she carried each day. Still, she pulled, step by step, her sandals slipping on loose stones. Hold on, she whispered, though she wasn't sure he could hear. I'll get you to safety. The climb back up felt endless. Amina's muscles screamed. Her breath came sharp and ragged, but she did not stop. Every few steps, the man stumbled, and she braced him against her small frame. Her hut was modest. Just 2 rooms with a roof patched from old wood and clay, but it was shelter, and right now, that was what he needed most. As they neared the hut, the man groaned again. His voice was low, almost too faint to hear. Water, he murmured. Amina's heart tightened. She quickened her steps, guiding him through the door, and lowering him gently onto the straw mat that served as her bed. She rushed to the clay pot near the corner, filling a cup with cool spring water. The man drank greedily, coughing in between gulps. When he finally looked at her, his eyes were sharp and deep, though heavy with exhaustion. Why? Are you helping me? He whispered. Amina blinked, almost surprised by the question. She lowered her gaze, answering softly, because you needed me, and that is enough. For a moment, silence filled the little hut, broken only by the crackle of firewood. The hut smelled faintly of herbs and wood smoke. Amina moved quickly but gently, dipping a cloth in cool water and pressing it to the man's forehead. His skin was warm, his pulse faint but steady. She had little to offer, no fine medicines, no doctor's tools, but she had learned from her mother how to tend small wounds with leaves and patience. She cleaned the scratches on his arms, bandaging them with strips torn from her own shawl. All the while, the man's eyes followed her half shut, filled with questions he was too weak to ask. Rest, she murmured. The mountain was unkind to you today, but you are safe now. She sat near the fire, boiling a small pot of rice gruel. It was all she could spare, yet she didn't hesitate. Her stomach rumbled, but she ignored it. When she carried the bowl back to him, he struggled to sit. She guided the spoon to his lips, feeding him slowly. His hand trembled as he tried to hold it himself, but she shook her head. You'll regain strength, she whispered. Until then, let me help. His eyes softened, though he said nothing more. Morning came slowly, spilling golden light. Across the hut, Amina rose early, as she always did, her body trained to work before the day grew heavy. She stepped outside, lifting a clay jug to fetch water from the stream nearby. The man stirred inside, wincing as he sat up. Through the open door, he watched her. She looked so small against the wide mountain, yet every movement she made was steady and purposeful. There was strength in her simplicity, a quiet dignity that struck him. He cleared his throat when she returned, setting the jug beside the fire. You saved me, he said, his voice hoarse. Amina shook her head. The mountain saved you. I only carried you home. But the man's gaze lingered on her, searching her face as if trying to understand her heart. He was used to people who wanted something: money, favors, promises. Yet this girl asked for nothing. Why live here, in such hardship? He asked softly. Her eyes dropped, and for the first time, her voice wavered. Because it is all I have, and because my mother depends on me. Silence fell again, heavy yet tender. That evening, Amina moved quietly to the corner of the hut where her mother lay. The older woman's face was pale, her breathing shallow but calm. Amina lifted a small bowl of broth, feeding her slowly, her voice soft with comfort. There now, Mama, just a little more, she whispered, brushing a strand of grey hair from her mother's forehead. The man watched from across the room. He had seen wealth, power, and ambition in his world, but he had never seen care given with such tenderness. The girl herself was poor, with barely enough to eat, yet she gave without hesitation to him, a stranger, and to her mother, who needed her so much. As the fire crackled, he felt a strange ache in his chest, not from his wounds but from something deeper. Gratitude. When Amina noticed his gaze, she offered a small smile. Forgive me, I cannot give you much comfort here, but at least you will not be alone. The man swallowed hard. For the first time in many years, he felt a warmth that money had never bought. And he thought to himself, perhaps fate had led him to this place for a reason. Days passed slowly, yet the man grew stronger with each one. His wounds healed under Amina's careful touch, his strength returning with the plain meals she prepared. But what surprised him most was not his recovery, it was her presence. Amina worked tirelessly, never complaining, never asking why he had been on that dangerous trail. When she wasn't gathering wood or tending her mother, she mended torn cloth, fetched water, or sat by the fire in thoughtful silence. One evening, he spoke. You live with so little. Doesn't it burden you? She looked up, surprised by the question. Life gives what it gives, she replied softly. Complaining will not fill our bowls, but kindness. Kindness makes the little we have enough. Her words lingered in the air, heavier than they sounded. He thought of the world he had left behind, the boardrooms, the city lights, the endless chase for profit. People there spoke of numbers, never of kindness. And here, in this fragile hut, a poor girl had reminded him of what truly mattered. For the first time in years, he felt peace. That evening, the man stood weakly in the doorway, watching Amina return with firewood strapped across her back. The sky behind her burned with orange and purple, painting her silhouette with quiet strength. She dropped the bundle near the hut and wiped her brow, smiling faintly when she saw him standing. You should rest, she said gently. I've rested long enough, he replied. Yet he knew he had done nothing compared to her endless labor. The sight stirred something deep in him. She bore so much weight, not only firewood, but the weight of her mother's illness. the weight of hunger, the weight of survival, and still, she carried it with grace. As she lit the fire and set a pot to boil, he asked, "Do you ever dream, Mina, of something beyond these mountains?" Her hands stilled. She looked at the flames, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yes, I dream of healing my mother, of giving her a life without pain, but dreams are soft things. The mountain is hard. I do not chase what I cannot reach." Her words tightened in his chest. She deserved so much more than this. That night, as the fire flickered, the man removed the gold watch from his wrist. Its face gleamed in the firelight, heavy and polished, a stark contrast to the rough hut. He held it out to her. Amina frowned, shaking her head. "I cannot take this." "Please," he insisted. "It's only a thing. You've given me more than this watch ever could. You gave me care when you owed me nothing." She hesitated, her hands trembling. As she accepted it, the weight surprised her. She had never held something so fine, so out of place in her world. "What would I do with such a treasure?" she murmured. "Keep it," he said quietly. "Or sell it, if you must. Just remember that your kindness is worth more than any gold." Her eyes softened, yet sadness flickered there too. "Kindness does not buy medicine. But still, thank you." He watched her carefully. She still did not know who he truly was. To her, he was only a broken traveler she had carried from the mountain. But soon, she would know. The morning after, the sound of hooves echoed up the mountain path. Amina stepped outside, her heart racing at the sight. Fine, unlike anything her village had seen, climbed slowly toward the hut. She turned back to the man, who now stood taller, his strength returning. His clothes had been straightened, his posture commanding once again. For the first time, she saw him not as a broken traveler, but as someone who belonged to a world far beyond hers. The carriage halted, and two men stepped down, bowing slightly. "Sir," one said respectfully, "we have been searching for you." Amina's eyes widened. She clutched her mother's frail hand, confusion rushing through her. "So searching." The man glanced at her, his gaze warm and steady. Then he spoke, his voice no longer weak but filled with quiet authority. "My name is Khalid," he said, "and I am not merely a lost traveler. I am the owner of companies, the builder of cities, a man many call a billionaire." Amina froze, her breath catching in her chest. Her world, once small as the mountain path, suddenly felt vast and unknown. Amina's lips parted, but no words came. She stared at him, at the polished carriage, and the men who bowed to his command. The truth struck her harder than the mountain winds. You are a great man," she whispered. Khalid shook his head gently. "No, Amina, you are the great one. I am only a man with wealth, but you without a single coin gave me life again." Her mother coughed weakly, and Amina's heart twisted. She pulled a thin blanket tighter around the frail shoulders. Shame washed over her. She had cared for him with nothing but scraps, while he belonged to a world where gold was common. "I have nothing to offer you," she said softly. Khalid stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You have already given me more than I have known in years. You gave me kindness without asking for return. Do you not see how rare that is?" His eyes glistened as he spoke. For all his power, he seemed almost fragile before her, as if her small hut had revealed something he had forgotten long ago. Later, inside the hut, Khalid knelt by Amina's mother. The frail woman blinked in surprise as this man, so clearly of wealth, lowered himself to the earthen floor beside her. "You raised a daughter of rare heart," he said softly. "Her strength and compassion saved me, and for that I owe you both a debt greater than money can measure." The old woman's lips trembled. We have lived with so little. I only prayed my child would remain good, no matter the hunger." Amina's eyes stung with tears. She had never seen her mother smile so freely as she did in that moment. Khalid's gaze moved between them. "From this day forward, you will not live in want. Whatever you need, food, medicine, comforted, shall be yours." Amina shook her head, overwhelmed. "Why would you do this?" He looked at her with quiet certainty. "Because sometimes fate chooses the poorest hands to show the richest hearts. And because you saved me, not knowing who I was, only that I was in need." The firelight flickered, as if sealing his promise. Weeks later, Amina stood in awe inside a place she had never imagined, the city hospital. White walls gleamed, nurses hurried with purpose, and the scent of medicine filled the air. Her mother, lay on a soft bed, her cheeks no longer as pale, her breathing easier than it had been in years. Doctors moved with confidence, ensuring she received the best of care. Amina clutched her mother's hand, tears of relief running silently down her cheeks. For so long, she had dreamed of this moment, yet she had never believed it possible. Khalid stood nearby, his presence calm, steady, reassuring. He asked for nothing in return, only watching as life slowly returned to the woman who had once been fading away. When Amina turned to him, her voice shook. "How can I ever repay you?" He smiled gently. "You already have. You showed me that wealth means nothing if the heart is poor. You reminded me of kindness, of humanity. That gift is worth more than every coin I own." Amina lowered her gaze, her heart full. For the first time, hope felt real. Months passed, and the mountain village no longer looked the same. With Khalid's quiet help, roofs were mended, children received books, and food was no longer scarce. Yet he never carried himself as a billionaire, here only as a man grateful for the second chance Amina had given him. Amina walked with her mother, now stronger, her steps steadier. Laughter filled the village paths, and the once heavy silence of survival had softened into something brighter, something like joy. Khalid often visited, not with carriages of grandeur, but with simple clothes and a warm smile. To Amina, he was not a billionaire, not a man of titles, but the life she had once saved at the foot of the mountain. And in saving him, she had unknowingly saved herself. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the peaks, Amina looked up at the mountains. They seemed the same, tall, vast, eternal. Yet her heart knew different. For the first time, she did not see them as walls that trapped her, but as witnesses to a miracle. The poor girl who once carried firewood had carried far more. She had carried kindness, and kindness had carried her into a new life.